This is Pucks and Pints. We're going to go, well, we are live, but we're going to go live in just a second. We're changing things up a little bit. No show last week. So we're extending it as long as needed tonight and no pre-show. So no videos, ladies and gentlemen, to next week. For those of you that join us just for the videos, we apologize, but we got a lot of stuff to get to tonight, including a new sponsor, a hot seat, a race to the cup, water cooler chat, Mike Jolitz, and of course, Jay Vegas, picks of the week. So I'm going to cue this thing up, and we're going to go live. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
The 5 to 60 minutes on ice. Pucks and Pints Radio.
He shoots and scores.
It's hockey time. Here are your hosts, the Big B, Coach K, and Bacon.
The waiting is over. You believe in miracles? Yes!
And now for Pucks and Pints.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pucks and Pints. We're back again after taking a week off. As you can see, the screen is not completely filled. I'm quite confused how the missing person who said that we were going to have a longer show tonight and rushed Big B and myself down into the studio because there was so much to talk about is not here.
I have breaking news on that.
Breaking news.
He will be here shortly. His computer decided to reboot.
Oh, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, across the table from me right now is Sir Big B from Queens, New York, big Ranger fan, and ready to talk some hockey with us tonight.
Big win yesterday. It was crazy. 6 goals on 8 shots to start the game in the first period. They beat Nashville 7-0. Well on their way to the playoffs. I'm quite excited.
Yes. Oh, I think we're all getting excited with everything that's going on. We were going to kick off the show with Bacon's Brew Review with a major announcement.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably go into my hot seat.
And then we could circle back, as they like to say, to the brew review.
Call an audible. We got a penalty to kill.
There you go.
All right. It's been a while since I've done this. Do we have? Yeah, there we go. And now, Stinky Lockers presents In the Hot Seat. Yeah, you know, my hot seat isn't really that major of a deal this week, Big B, but and I want to ask you some questions, but I want to preface this by saying everybody knows how annoyed I am. I go on and on about these retro jerseys when the Leafs wear black or when somebody changes what they're wearing. When I watch a hockey game, I know who the players are.
Mm-hmm.
I already know who the players are, and look who's here. Mister, we got to start the show early.
Listen now.
Oh my God!
All right,
I was all gung ho and ready to go, and then my computer rebooted at 6:33.
Excellent. Well, listen, we've moved to the hot seat, which I've just started. You haven't missed anything, and then we're going to go to your brew review with our new major sponsor.
Okay.
Called an audible. You do that a lot on the bench, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, so you guys know how I'm, it just irritates me. I cue in on the black jerseys for the Leafs. Like, I know who my guys are, but when it's black on black, I got a big TV. I got no problem. Even when I'm live, it irritates the shit out of me. So I'm not going to go on that train again because we've been there about 45 times this year. So now in Canada, I don't know if they're doing it the same on ESPN or where you MSG, wherever you're getting your games in the States. They have this little name tag that floats over the players like I'm watching NHL 94.
Yep.
And when they're dressed properly and the camera is clear and I'm watching in HD and yada, 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 I have no problem knowing who the players are on both teams. If it's a team that's made a lot of changes I haven't seen all year, I'll print the lineup. I'm pretty good with it. Usually the color guy and the play-by-play guy do a fine job. You guys were complaining about those moving freaking banners on the boards. These name tags literally go from the blue line to the red line.
I will say here in the US, it's only on nationally televised games, and it's not like a permanent thing. Like, they show it every so often, like kind of on if it's on like a power play and they're passing back and forth, it'll pop up. It's stupid as shit. I agree with you. It's irritating and it's stupid. I also agree with you that the play-by-play guys, no matter what team it is, no matter what announcing team it is, do a really good job of telling you who has the puck, who they're passing it to, very, very quickly as the play flows. So we can rely on the play-by-play guys, even if they have your black on black jerseys and suddenly you have no idea who's touching the puck. The play-by-play guy will tell you. You don't need those stupid banners like you're playing a video game above. I'm 100% in agreement with this.
Thank you. Does it remind you guys? I don't know if you remember this, but Fox TV. Oh man, I don't know how long ago it would have been. About 10 years ago, probably. They started picking up hockey, and they had that laser beam puck.
Yep,
they're bringing that back. By the way,
nuts.
That was when after ESPN, when they had the hockey. When they had the NHL broadcast rights the first time, didn't renew, and Fox picked it up, and they thought they were going to bring in a brand new audience, and they were going to highlight the puck, and as it's being passed around the ice, it's highlighted, and it was just stupid, and sometimes it didn't even work. Like, people are passing the puck, and the thing was like over there.
I felt like it was a cat chasing a laser beam.
So they're bringing that back.
No.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I noticed it. I was watching a video yesterday, and this guy commented. He's like, "I love the trail on the puck," and literally, it's better now than it was before. It's not as intrusive. It doesn't look as stupid. But I would say the only practical thing is if I'm watching a game on my phone, cool. Then it helps me trap the puck. If I'm watching it on my TV, much like you can, I sit 8 feet away from a 65-inch TV. I don't need to see that stupid thing. I know where the puck's at.
You know where it's good is when like the commentators are saying, this is the play, this is what happened, and they kind of give you a trajectory of the passes and shit. I don't mind that so much.
But that's on a replay, which is fine, because they're showing you how the play was set up and the lanes that the person with the puck has to either pass or shoot. That's wonderful. Not as the game is being played.
Right. And those name tags, I'm not kidding you. I don't know if it's the same if you're watching on your phone, a smaller TV, everyone can correct me. It's this freaking big, those name tags.
Big. Yeah, it's big.
I can read it without my freaking glasses.
Yeah, those are, I understand where they're coming from. They want to get people that may not know the players to understand the game and whatnot. But let's be honest, the people that are watching a game at 8:00 at night between, let's say, the Rangers and the Penguins, they're not the new people to hockey.
But like football. At the beginning, here's your starting lineup. I'm Coach K. I'm from Windsor, Ontario. I'm Big B. I'm from Queensland. give me a quick overview. Announcers come in, say, yeah, that guy's the all-pro.
Right.
But I don't need. It's too fast a game. Maybe it would work in football. I still don't think so because there's too many X's and O's going on. Maybe in baseball, not in hockey. Things move too quick. You can't take those names down quick enough.
Yeah, in a shootout scenario, sure, maybe the names work, but let's be honest. The names on the back of the jerseys are big enough that you can see them on a decent-sized TV, even if you're sitting 10 feet from it. So, I don't know. The name tags.
You've seen how they do it, too. And again, I don't have station specifics for you, but they'll either along the bottom or at the side in a little box, they'll go Marner, Matthews, Nylander, on the point. And then they'll switch to the other team. So you're watching hockey, you got to pay attention. Things happen quick.
But even if you say you're a new person watching the game, right, and you don't know the players at all, and they highlight some of these names, though, you're still not going to be able to pronounce, like that Jack guy from Montreal.
Yeah.
His name starts with an X and ends with a J. You ain't pronouncing it.
No.
When it comes up like Nemestikov, you 9 times out of 10, if you don't know the game, you're not going to pronounce it right away if you're new to it.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference anyway because you can't pronounce the names. So you don't know the players, you can't pronounce the names. What good is it? And those that can pronounce the names already know who the player is.
Yep. So now, interestingly enough, the names is a byproduct of the chip that's in that
In their shoulder pads.
They use it for everything now. It tells you. So if you ever watch a game, look on their right shoulder, just behind. It sits right about here, and it's a rectangle about 3 inches long, and it does everything. That's how they track. When they're doing the skills competition and stuff. That's how they can tell you, hey, McDavid was skating, 36.4 kilometers an hour, miles an hour. It does everything. It tracks how fast they're going. It tracks how many strides. It tracks. It's astronomical how much data that thing pulls in. The stupid part is they use it to put the names on the screen and not do the cool stuff like show the data.
Right.
Yeah. So
the NFL has the same thing in their shoulder pads as well. So when running back breaks a long one, he was doing 22 miles an hour running down the field, whatever it is. They have the exact same thing, and it's got GPS and all this stuff in it. So it's location and all. It's really the stuff behind it is really, really freaking cool.
And I like that. You know me, I'm a stats nut. I have more stats you throw at me every week. I hardly have a chance to read them all. I love it. I love strength of schedule, which we'll talk about later. I love plus minus. I love, possession, all that stuff. I love it. Don't screw around with my viewing enjoyment of the moment, though, please.
So now what would happen if, let's say, hypothetically, we were at your house watching a game together, and the black jerseys were being worn, and the name tags were on the screen, and they were playing the Rangers, who were wearing their alternate jerseys, and they had name tags on the screen. Like, would I see a foot through your TV or what?
And the puck had the little tracking bubble on it.
Yeah, and it had the tails on.
Like, I'm waiting till the day when we actually go live, and it's like Circus Olay at the rink. Like those Vegas intros, they're well known. They're wonderful. They're so cool. I'll never forget Vegas versus the Jets in the Western Conference Final. They're awesome. But I'm waiting to get to the rink one time, sit down with my popcorn and my hot dog, and then I'm going to see name tags floating around virtually.
You know what? I wouldn't doubt that one day we get to that. They're going to hand out glasses, or you use your little Google Lens implant in your eye, and that's what'll show up.
Did you happen to see? I don't know if they have it in Canada yet, but it was the first time here when the Rangers played the Capitals last week.
Yes.
The game was simulcast on Disney Plus and whatever, but they were all cartoons.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're going to give them a heart attack.
Got to get me a video link
I
for that.
swear to God, it was like I was watching the game on ESPN, and whoever scored a goal, Patrick Kane scored a goal. They would show the replay. Oh, here's what it looked on whatever the Greens something or other. here's what it looked like as a cartoon, and they were all in cartoons with big bubble heads and all of this. And
We got to get video for next week.
yep.
Oh yeah, it's out there for sure. Because I remember seeing the preview for it, and I thought to myself, I'm like, man, that is so goofy. And then I thought, well, they're marketing to kids now, so it's probably not a bad thing. I don't know if you do it with a cartoon with a bubbly head and the way they did it, but it was something.
Now, remember when we were on with Finn, and he was our guest, and we were talking about the All-Star game, and there was a lot of stuff we didn't like about it, and he was like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool for the younger audience. And Big B said it. I don't know if it was on this show or another show, but he said to me, we have become the get off my lawn old people.
Yes, we have.
I love the game the way it was. The rules you tell me about now that you're still coaching and I've stepped back, I'm like, I can't exist in this world anymore.
Yeah, it's I look at a number of sports and I think the same thing. I'm not a big football fan, but baseball is one that I used to love to watch. And now that they've got that stupid pitch clock and everything else,
Oh my God.
I had no problem going to a game in Detroit in the middle of the summer, 8:00 at night, sitting in the ballpark for 3 hours, enjoying the atmosphere, how cool, how quiet it was, despite the number of people in the stadium. And now they're just trying to rush the game through in 2 hours, and
Right.
it's ridiculous.
What they're doing is, and it's happening across all sports, is they're conforming to what the sponsors want instead of what the fans want. Because
Yeah,
I was talking to one of the guys.
Yep.
I was talking to one of the guys I work with about the baseball changes, and he's like, I pay for a ticket. You want to see, I'd have no problem sitting in the ballpark all day long watching a baseball game. That's the point of going to the park to watch.
That's why you go to baseball. That's correct. I do have one complaint since we're still in the hot seat, and I'm going to close it. Baseball people, sit down. I've
Agreed.
told you this story before. I was at the Blue Jay game. I got extra good tickets because I was bringing my wife and my kid, and I had to leave and go talk to the security guard in the mezzanine because guys are walking around on their foot. I'm watching a home run while some guys, where are you, Bernie? I don't see you. And then I'm losing my shit. And of course, excuse me. And of course, my wife's losing hers because I'm losing mine. And I'm like, I got to go for a walk. I know we're not at a hockey game. I'm supposed to be calmer. I'm supposed to be singing Kumbaya at a baseball game. But sit in your freaking seat. They bring you the food and the beer right to you. You don't have to walk around every 10 seconds.
Yep, they should. I don't know how you treat it in baseball like you would in hockey, where you can't go to your seat until there's a whistle. But maybe between batters, between whatever. But it's that's one of the reasons I don't like sitting in the lower bowl at baseball games most times, because if somebody stands up in front of you, you're hosed.
Yeah. And you're, but even like junior hockey, and I know I'm carrying on too long about this stuff. I don't want to, but even at junior hockey, if I go and get a beer or a popcorn or use the bathroom or whatever the heck I'm doing, I'm not allowed back in my seat until the next whistle. I don't know if it's the same at football, or like football, there's time right in between plays. But yeah, baseball, I found baseball to, it's the, like you said, the calmest sport. You can sit, relax, just sit back, enjoy yourself, the quiet. It's it's a meticulous game, but it's very slow. But all these people standing up, I'm like just losing it.
I could just picture you at a Blue Jays game in the lull of the game, and all you hear is DK's voice from way far back. Sit down.
Yeah, ask Isbia. Ask my wife. We'll get her on this show or the other show one time. She'll tell you how I went for a walk and ended up hanging out with the security guard. Watched the game. Nothing bothered me. I was about 30 feet up, like you said, Bacon. I was a little higher. I didn't care who was walking around doing what. The beer cart was next to me. The pretzel cart was right beside it. I had fun talking to this guy. And yes, I did say that very loud. And but I spent a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. For the price you pay, I'm glad they work it the way they do at hockey games, where if I'm going to pay $100 to sit in the lower bowl to watch a team play, or $150, awesome. You
Yeah,
make people
like-
get out of my way and make it so I can watch the game.
If one and like this seat we get at the Leafs game, we're really close to the stairs, but doesn't matter. If the game's going, you're waiting. You miss something, you should have held your pee, or not had that last beer. Whatever. Anyhow, speaking of beer, we've been waiting for this for a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a brand new sponsor, and of course, Bacon's craft brew review, which is usually at the beginning of the show, and he's got a little stinger now.
Yeah.
Now, it's Bacon's Craft Brew Review. Brought to you by Locker Room Lager.
Yeah, this is a good one. So we'll start with what's on the screen. So I had this beer a while back, and I contacted the brewery, and I said, hey, we would love to partner with you in some form, and have you guys, sort of be the official beer of the show type deal. I've been looking for somebody to commit to more than just a couple of shows. And so Jack over at Post Game Brewing stepped up and said, yeah, he said, let me work something out. He goes, I'll hook you up with some beer, which I dropped off some over to Ken. They gave us a promo code. So Locker Room Lager. So I'm going to be drinking that. I've got one craft beer, and I've got some of the Locker Room, paying them homage on every show for sure. On your first order, use that promo code. You'll get $5 off. Tell your friends. The beer is excellent. It's
for those of you that are on audio, sorry to interrupt, Bacon. For those of you that are listening on podcasts, we've got it up on the screen. Promo code Pucks and Pints for $5 off your first order. Just go to pucksandpintsradio.com, pucksandpintsradio.com, and there's a link you can click on and order the beer. And before you continue again, I have to say, there's a lot of times you tell me to buy this different crap, and I feel like I'm drinking fermented pineapple mixed with cinnamon and butter, or some weird mix like that, and I don't always enjoy them. You've given me some very good recommendations. I like Frank Brewery, and I love Walkerville Brewery, but I got my favorites. I'm more of a stay-at-home defenseman when it comes to craft brewery, but this here, ladies and gentlemen, is excellent. I'm definitely going to go online and order myself some as well. Really fresh, really light, but it's a full beer. I really like it.
Yeah, it's very, very flavorful. I really, really like it. Like, it's the kind of beer I can come home, drink 2 or 3, after hockey or whatever, and not feel like, heavy. Like, if I come home and I drink, 3 craft beers, sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's like I just felt like I ate a loaf of bread. But this stuff is, it's fantastic. I got turned onto it by a buddy a couple of years ago. He had picked some up. He'd found it in an LCBO here. And I'm really happy to partner with these guys. Their beer is fantastic. So if you get a chance, Pucks and Pints, all one word, the promo code, give them a shout. I know one of our other sponsors, Jimmy's, is looking to hopefully get them into the bar on tap.
Yes.
So everybody up that way will have some. So when we come to visit, hopefully this summer, you'll have something for us to drink that's recognizable.
In our off-season cornhole tour.
Yes. So
And
now
is it available in New York? Did we ever find that out?
I think, you know what? Let me look, because I believe I did ask that question. Thinking of B specifically.
if we could, even if I have to get it shipped, I will order. But
Oh, that's a good point.
if I could
So
go to a
while
store,
I look up, they offer, for those of you that order, they offer what's called, what did Jack call it? Not immediate shipping. Not
I feel
immediate
like I'm on a
shipping.
telethon right now instead of a hockey radio show. Call this number, ladies and gentlemen. Please donate to the show.
Direct delivery. That's what it's called. They have direct delivery. So when you order, you place the order on their website, you pay for it. I ordered on a Tuesday at noon. By Thursday at 11:30 in the morning, the guy was knocking on my door with the beer.
Nice. And was he an employee of a locker room?
No, no, but he was an employee of SimBev, which is the beverage company that distributes for them
But,
around the area.
So that still has the question: can I get it in New York?
I'm still waiting as well. I'm just trying not dead air.
Because I don't think we have SimBev here.
No, so I'm going to look through the emails because there's a lot of emails back and forth, and I will let you know if I have an answer by the end of the show.
Okay.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will get the answer for our international listeners and viewers out there. pucksandpintsradio.com, easiest way to find it. Nice big banner on there. You'll see this logo. Enter Pucks and Pints. I don't know if it's got to be in capitals or not, and you get $5 off your first order, and it's actually not bad price to begin with.
No, it's not. Compared to the big brands, say like the Blues and the Coors Lights and whatever, this is a 24 pack of 355 milliliter cans. So just regular cans. You can also get the tall boys if you want them. If you order the regular cans, it comes with a roll of hockey tape. It's just over $50 after tax and shipping, or after tax and tax and shipping. So it's I mean, it's no different than going to the store and buying it here.
Right.
Now, the other half of my craft beer today, I have I did a little tour last weekend.
Well, I knew there was going to be some freaking weird. Just the look of that can makes me not want to try it.
This is a good one. This is just it's called Fingask 45. It's just a red ale. Surprisingly, it's from Sons of Kent.
I like
Chatham,
Sons
Ontario.
of Kent. I've had that before. Someone brought me Sons of Kent another time.
Yeah, so they have a couple that I like, the 8-track and the Flywheel. This one's their red ale I decided to try. I went down there last weekend. My wife was in Chatham for her mother's birthday, so I thought, you know what, I'll hit some of the local breweries there. So I hit up 2 breweries and came home with I don't know, a couple dozen cans of different beers. This one's really good. Typically a red is a little bit heavy. This is flavorful. It's probably my favorite red I've ever had. I'm very curious to get down there and get some more. So Fingas 45.
I have a question, Big B.
Mm-hmm.
He was down there for his mother-in-law's birthday.
Yep.
And went to craft breweries. How was the ride home?
It was good. It was good. I didn't sample a lot while I was there, knowing I had to drive home.
That's not what he means.
You didn't accompany your wife to the mother-in-law's birthday.
That's
it. One day you gotta stay for some finger sandwiches and a piece of cake.
No. That's normal. That's normal. They normally just go, her and her mom and her sister. They go out, and the husbands don't have to go.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a really, aside from the 45-minute drive to Chatham, it's a good deal.
All right, just wondering, because you're saying you're gone to a birthday party, and all of a sudden you're visiting craft breweries.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I'm glad we started early. We're really pushing along. But yeah, please, folks, pucksandpints.com. Check it out. But things are getting tight. Things are getting exciting. We might know most of the teams that are in, but we might not. It's time to play.
16 teams enter and only one survives. It's time for the race to the cup.
Yeah, there's 14, 15 games left?
Yep, just about.
Season always flies by.
Yeah, for some of the teams that are lagging, I think it's 14, and I think I was listening today, the Bruins have 12.
As much as it seems like winter drags on forever, it's always like, my God, it was just training camp. Mm-hmm. And here we go, and it's a great time of year, but it's going to end quick for some, and not even start for others. But I'm going to eat my shoe here for a minute, guys. But we're going to start in the East. Obviously, Boston first to clinch. Mm-hmm. Leafs are narrowly holding on and jostling with Tampa in the Atlantic. Hurricanes and Devils are just jogging it out, and the Rangers are playing good hockey, and those 6 are locked. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be good, but who gets home ice? And Which, by the way, before I go to the wild card, did you guys read that thing about the home ice in the Eastern Conference? It's unbelievable if you think it doesn't mean anything.
No, I didn't see it.
Well, last year, like every home team won, basically.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not as much in the West for some reason, but the Leafs, the Devils, the Rangers, the Bruins, you name them, the Lightning, they're all, like a 75% win record at home, if not better.
Wow.
So they're losing games on the road.
Yeah, that's why it seemed like every series last year in the East went 6 or 7 because everybody was just winning their home games.
It was tight. And then if the away team won, like Tampa did, it went to overtime or it went to a 1 goal. Like, it was unbelievable. But here's where we're sitting. And again, I'm eating a little bit of crow on this, and I got to admit it, because the Islanders 80. The Pittsburgh Penguins, who even the guys on the NHL Network are so sure they were going to be there at 78 points. Lots of injuries on defense. You guys can talk about it if you want, but look who's sitting at 77, 7-2-1. I'm going to go see them next Wednesday. The dreaded Florida Panthers.
Yeah, they've crawled up out of the basement, and they're making their way up there. I noticed that today too. I looked and I was like, wow. I'm like, the Sabres have done nothing since our last show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the Panthers have, they must have probably won 5 out of their last 8
to get to that. They're 7-2-1. So they're in Detroit tonight. They're in Philly or something tomorrow. Like, their back-to-back is ridiculous.
Well, you figure out of those 2 games, they get a win out of one of the 2, probably in Detroit, I think. I don't know about Philly, but we'll see.
I just don't know what to think anymore. I wrote them off 5 weeks ago.
Well, we all wrote them off, but look at how now it's separating. Because remember, it was close for a while between all of those teams and who would make it between the Capitals and the Panthers and the Buffalo. Would they jump the Islanders or Pittsburgh? It's all separating now, where it's really coming down to Florida is the one team that really is challenging for the final wild card spot. Buffalo's fallen off. Washington, we know, has gotten rid of everybody. They're just not going to make it because they don't have the talent there. And Ottawa, we never thought was going to make it. Buffalo's the biggest surprise because we all figured that Buffalo would make a run and kind of sneak into that 8th and final playoff spot, but they've done nothing.
They've lost 3 in a row.
They are 2-6-2.
Yeah.
Like you said, losing 3 in a row. I mean, they have just, I guess every team has a surge kind of at some point during the season. And if you get it at the end of the season, when it really, really counts, obviously that's most beneficial. And that's what Florida seems to have done. Buffalo seemed to have happened 3 weeks too early, where they were surging and they were fighting, and then they just dropped off. Florida's surge is happening right now. And
is Florida the 3-headed monster that's going to dethrone those mighty Bruins?
No.
I mean, they were President's champions last year. They won a round and then they got beat by Tampa, but
the Bruins this year, man, it's going to take a lot to knock them off.
I
mean, they are firing on all cylinders and then some.
I just always, and this is in any sport, this is in poker, this is in blackjack, this is in everything. When things are going too good, I'm waiting for something to happen. And look, the Leafs have had their ups and downs. The Lightning have had their ups and downs. The Rangers have even had their ups and downs. The Devils slumped off for a while. It's just too good for this league. It's too good.
It's extremely rare in all sports for a team to run wire to wire with absolutely no slump anywhere in the season, including playoffs. I can think off the top of my head, the 1984 Tigers, the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls.
Probably the 1991 Bulls, probably, right? Yeah.
Right. Even when the Patriots were undefeated, they lost in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's very rare that teams go wire to wire with no slump. In hockey, it's very rare that the President's Trophy winners win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I agree with DK that that the Bruins are due to have a slump, and it will come in a 7-game series in the playoffs, and they will get bounced. Well, I think it's in the first round. Absolutely not. Second round or later, they will get bounced.
But usually it happens in the first round. Look what happened to Tampa that year.
Well,
Florida was second last year, but I mean,
if Pittsburgh plays them, maybe. Pittsburgh has the talent. They're older, but they have the talent. Florida's not going to do it. The Islanders.
You think Pittsburgh's got the longevity and the stamina though to keep up with them?
I think so.
I mean, Boston's an aging team as well, but they seem to be able to just mow through whoever they come against.
Right. But when you're talking about the playoffs, you're talking about now Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, and their collective experience in that will carry them. And Crosby, as much as I hate Crosby, he raises that team to a different level when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, the ability to navigate the playoffs and deal with that pressure the proper way.
Yeah,
right?
He knows how to do it. They'll have a healthy what's his name, Tristan Jarry, as opposed to last year when they're on freaking Louis Domingue.
Yeah, but him and DeSmith, believe it or not, have the same save percentage. They have the same amount of wins. They're in a 50-50 in that goal. They might be in a 1-2 Pittsburgh.
Well, they'll rely on Jarry in the playoffs, and if he shows signs of, being shook a little bit, they'll put in DeSmith. But I think Tristan Jarry starts the bulk of the playoffs for as long as they're in there.
If they make it at this point.
If they make it, yes. If they make, but I mean, you look at it. I still don't think the Islanders are going to make it. The Panthers are 3 points out, and they have 2 games in hand. Pittsburgh is 2 points out with 2 games in hand. I just think the Islanders are going to get leapfrogged. So
I haven't believed in them all year.
Yeah, I just think they're going to get leapfrogged
off too. And now, what anybody got like the? Well, what's the scope right now in New York? They got a good defensive team. They got a great goalie.
Mm-hmm.
Is their forward group healthy?
The Rangers you're talking about?
The Islanders. No,
the Islanders.
The Rangers are in.
I was going to say. I mean, they are battling injuries, and that's another reason why I think they're just going to drop off. They're still. They're a younger team, but have a mix of older players, and some of their playmakers are hurt. I don't think they can sustain it. Even if they magically get into the playoffs, they're going to get bounced by Boston. There is no way the Islanders can play with Boston.
Let's just, it's probably going to change week to week for the last 5 or 6 weeks, whatever we got left.
Yeah.
So you're going to right now call Panthers and Pittsburgh as your just this week.
Just this week, yeah. I will continue to say until the Islanders actually clinch a playoff spot, I will continue to say that they will not make it.
Bacon,
Yeah.
I'm just looking up a stat, so you go ahead.
I was going to say I'd have to look back to 2 weeks ago when we talked about it, but I think I had originally picked Buffalo and Pittsburgh. But I almost got to
might sneak in too.
Yeah, we all picked Buffalo and Pittsburgh in 2 weeks ago.
it's just
that's for sure.
I mean, realistically, unless Buffalo wins every game from here to the end, and Florida,
I don't see Buffalo at this point.
I don't either anymore. That was back when we were talking 20-some games left.
They're a great team. They're exciting. They got a bright future. Of any of Detroit, Ottawa, Buffalo, I still think Buffalo has the better team. I think they got a goalie of the future there, perhaps, but I don't see Buffalo this. And again, this could all change in a week because there's 51 games this week. So,
And that's the other thing. I'd love to see. I haven't looked at the schedules for.
Well, I have it in front of me.
Okay.
Pittsburgh has the 13th hardest strength of schedule based on, what teams they have next. They have Boston once, Jersey once, the Rangers twice, Stars once, Predators. I don't know why Predators would be a tough game, but Predators once and Avalanche once.
So those first 5 that's potentially 5 losses.
Yeah. Florida Their strength of schedule is 19. They have Hurricanes once, Devils once, Leafs 3 times, and the Rangers once. First game against the Leafs Thursday. Islanders are 22nd, so they actually have the easiest schedule according to this chart. Hurricanes once, Devils once, Leafs once, Bolts, Lightning twice.
Those could all be losses. I don't know how that's easy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No,
to
I'm just
think
saying
that's the
when they
21st.
do strength of schedule, for instance, believe it
I mean,
or
what
not,
do they base that on though? Because that's crazy.
they
because
base
I
that
wouldn't,
on this on the strength of the opponent. So,
I wouldn't think. I mean,
Right, but you're talking about the Leafs, the Bolts, the Devils.
yeah, like that's crazy.
Let me give you a stronger team, and maybe this will come into picture on how they base this.
Are the other teams playing like the Miracle on Ice team or something?
but
Like, what's
I'm
happening?
going to give you a strong team that has a tough schedule according to this chart. So let's look at Tampa Bay, which they're saying has the 3rd hardest schedule remaining. So I'm going to give you both games they play, and you'll see how they do this. Tampa plays Boston once, Carolina once, New Jersey twice, Toronto once, and the Rangers once.
Okay.
Then on the flip side of things, they got the Canadiens twice, the Red Wings once, the Senators twice, the Capitals once, and the Islanders once.
So the first half of that schedule is great. The other half is garbage, but it's
Right.
no
So what
different than
they're
everybody
saying-
else's schedule.
Well,
I mean, you play Jersey twice, so
send it to you.
Right.
Oh,
So,
no.
so what's the flip side of the Islanders schedule? Because the teams you said were tough teams. They could all be losses. What's the flip side of the Islanders schedule where it's the easy games? Who are they playing?
Okay, so they got Columbus once, Sharks once, Flyers once, Canadians once, Capitals once, Calgary once.
Except for the Capitals and Calgary, those could all be wins. And even Calgary could be a win.
and the Calgary one could go either way.
That could go either
We've
way.
seen Arizona win hockey games as well. We'll get to the West in a minute.
Arizona's
But
making a
yeah,
run.
so I just feel really bad because I counted Florida out, and now they're
still teetering. Like, again, they're almost one of those teams that you treat just like the Islanders until they clinch that spot. You can't really say, hey, we knew they were going to do it, or we knew they weren't going to do it, because they're really close to doing it, even though we didn't think they were going to do it. So,
I mean, we got the 6, right? Like in all reality.
Oh yeah, those 6 are locked pretty well,
Devils
regardless of what happens.
The Devils want first place. Neither the Devils or the Hurricanes want the Rangers. Whether or not they'll beat them, nobody wants that in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think the Leafs and the Lightning want each other in the first round.
No.
Well,
I'm so tired of seeing the Leafs and the Lightning play in the first round. Like, give them somebody else to play
every
for
year.
once.
Well, the Leafs and the Lightning are a lock. Nobody's catching Boston, and nobody's coming up to catch them. So Leafs and Lightning are a lock. What's interesting now is that the Rangers have played themselves into a position where they are challenging for first in the Metropolitan because they are 6 points behind, and they play Carolina twice. If they win both games, and at some point, the Rangers win another game and Carolina loses another game, they could be in first, talking about playing one of these wildcard teams.
Right. But you don't know what Jersey's going to do.
Right. Yeah, of course. You don't know what Jersey's doing. But
on that note,
it's suddenly become close. Like we were talking about, Carolina and Boston were the top teams.
I wasn't that impressed with Carolina the other night. I know it was only one game, and I know the Leafs are one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the league. I wasn't impressed with Carolina. They don't scare me like Tampa or New York or New Jersey or Colorado, for that matter, scared me more than the Hurricanes did. I know it was one night, but Freddie Anderson is Swiss cheese.
Yeah, the Canes are struggling, right? Goaltending issues. They got Svechnikov is out now with for the rest of the season with 2 torn MCLs or MCLs. So, Burns is gone. Like, I don't know, man. They don't scare me. And I agree with you 100%. They don't scare me like they used to scare me. Like, they were a team to be reckoned with 2 years ago. Now, I would almost rather play them instead of the Bolts.
I'm
For
with
sure.
you. Or that game against, and again, I don't know what games you're watching, but you watch same teams we do on different nights, Big B. The Avalanche, as wounded and limping as they are, were dominant against the Leafs. It was a close game. It went to OT or shootout, whatever it went to. But they're still missing 2 or 3 key cogs on that team. I'm not sure McCarr's even 100% yet. McKinnon's going to carry that team on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to the West. The West is equally as interesting. And I think the fun part about the West is I appreciate your optimism, Big B, and you're 100% right. The Rangers could still win the Met. But we're talking like points between teams still here in the West, and we're talking points between first and wild card.
It's crazy.
Stars 89, Wild 88. I still can't believe that one either.
Yeah.
There's 9 points between 10 teams.
Yeah, like Avalanche 86.
This is the race.
They still got 2 games in hand.
Yeah, this is the race. Like, forget the East. Let's watch the West from now on. Like,
well, no, I just love hockey. Knights 92, Kings 90, Oilers 86. Where are the Kraken? 83 points, first wild card team.
Yeah.
Here's a team I'm concerned about at 4-5-1 their last 10. The Winnipeg Jets.
They've kind of done this all season. They get on a run and they win, 5 or 6, and then they lose 5 or 6, and then they win a couple and then they lose 5 or 6. It's just,
well, like I said, it was a couple of weeks ago that when you're talking about the wild card in the West, nobody wants it. You're looking at all right. Seattle fell down to the wild card slot, but you're looking at Winnipeg 4-5-1 in their last 10. Calgary, who's out of the slot trying to get in, is 4-3-3 in their last 10. Nashville is 5-3-2 on their last 10, but they've lost 3 in a row. Nobody wants that wild card slot in the West. Nobody's playing like they want it.
Yeah, like Florida's surging.
Right. Florida is surging.
Islanders is trying. Pittsburgh did something at the deadline. You know what I mean? Like, they want to be there. They understand. Right. I agree with you 100%. But my God, as much as I said I was surprised by the Panthers, I got to tell you something right now. The way the Jets and the Kraken are playing, I don't think much of the Predators. They sold off a lot, and I've got Yossi on my fantasy team. He's day to day. You got Forsberg on LTIR. I don't know how they're doing it. The Flames have lost more games outshooting their opponents this year than anyone else. They are still +5 on the goal differential. If they could get some mediocre goaltending from someone, their time of possession is second in the NHL. Wow. They're not that bad a team. They just can't score goals and keep the puck out of the net.
Much rivaling the New York game.
Points out of a wild card. Are you going to bet on the Jets or the Flames?
Probably the Jets, to be honest with you.
The Jets, yeah.
Yeah. I watched the Stars Flames game the other night, Saturday night, and it was rivaled to the New York game that you were alluding to last night, Big B. I tried getting it on my TV service, and I couldn't get it reliably. It literally just went like Dallas had 2 goals in, I don't know, like a minute and 15 seconds or something. Like Markstrom just looked like he wasn't even there. Like that's been the problem all year, right? Like he came out and said, look, I'm not mentally ready. I need to step away. And they brought in their backup and they brought in their third. And then he came back and said, I'm ready to go. And he just doesn't look like he's ready to go. So, I mean, if they hit the playoffs, it'll be a 1 round and out. Because I don't think
and see, this is what I'm concerned about, because I'm just thinking of something here. You're the Golden Knights. You've lit up everybody. I don't think so much the Stars, but even maybe the Wild. You look at this on paper, and if a team gets hot at the right time, do you really want to play the Flames?
I mean,
Yes.
it may be an easy win.
You remember when the Kings were 8th and they won the Stanley Cup? I'm not saying that. There's a lot of problems in Calgary, but the underlying numbers of this team are very strong.
But their goaltending is terrible right now. Markstrom is nothing near what he was last year.
No,
They are
no, he.
sure. I'll play them first round. If I was Vegas, absolutely bring on Calgary first round. We can knock them out quick. No problem.
I almost wonder if Markstrom and Campbell go to the same therapist. Because I'll tell you what, they come back and they shine for 2 or 3 games, and then they just drop right back into that rut.
Skinner's the starting goalie there, and we'll see.
Oh, did you see in the game the other night? I think it was Edmonton and Seattle.
Oh, when he stared the goalie down?
Yeah, they were warming up in warm-ups, and Seattle's goalie is warming up, and you know how they kind of stand on the red line opposite each other. Instead of facing out towards their team like they normally do, Skinner turned and looked right at him and stood there motionless for probably a good minute and a half and just stared him down. And you could tell the other goalie was completely uncomfortable. He was doing his warm-up, and you'd see him kind of and Skinner just stood there, and you could tell he was probably had this grin on his face like, I'm going to eat you alive.
I'll tell you something about your Oilers. They're scary too. But if they don't score goals, they're in trouble. And I think the team that'll take them down is their first round opponent, most likely at this point, the Los Angeles Kings.
Well, they're not going to have an issue scoring goals. I'm sorry. McDavid and Draisaitl will score goals for them. They are not going to dry up in the playoffs. That's not going to happen. So they will have to outscore because has been their problem last year. All this year, they didn't address it. They don't have defense. They are not going to have issues scoring. They are just going to have to outscore the opponent.
Yeah.
Which doesn't normally happen in playoffs. And I've watched games, be it very, very rare, where McDavid has been silenced. You put 2 guys on him, you make the other guys work for it. They're not as good as they think they are, a.k.a. Zach Hyman, when McDavid's not getting you the puck. You take the big 2 out of the picture, and they're a normal team.
That's very hard to do, though.
I think there's been, and they were talking about this on the NHL radio probably a week ago, maybe. I think there's been 2 games this year where McDavid's been held pointless, and that's it. 2 games in the entire, 68 games or whatever they've already played.
70 games.
Yeah.
Two. They haven't.
So, I mean, that's crazy.
What the hell are you going to do if McDavid blows an ACL? That's why Colorado's better, right?
Wow, I mean, they got Draisaitl hanging around, though.
Yeah.
Right? He'll just take
you
over and
put
score
them
like
on their back. Not a chance. You only get Draisaitl to deal with. You shut that guy down, guaranteed.
But I mean, look at what was it, 4 years ago, when he took that check into the boards and he was out with his knee for the season. Draisaitl stepped up and scored 40 some odd goals and basically just picked up the pace right where McDavid would have filled in. Now
40 goals down a center doesn't win you anything in the playoffs with no goaltending.
Well,
and still a weak defense even with Ekholm.
I mean,
giving up Barry for Ekholm was a big mistake. Should have given up Nurse. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. Let's go to Jay Vegas real quick. Give us a chance to wet our whistles, and then we'll do some water cooler talk. And we still got good old Mike Jolitz too. So this is the point where I cue you to mute yourself. Now, Bacon.
I don't mute on the screen. I mute on my mic.
All right. That's what I was going to say. I'm going to trust you're going to be a big boy so we don't go through that again, even though you deserve to be punished because you called the early meeting and came in late, even though you're supposed to be at another meeting, but we haven't discussed that yet.
Listen, you blame Bill Gates for this crap operating system.
Buy a Mac.
If one of our listeners wants to gift me a Mac, then hey,
I will not gift you one, but I have one for sale.
There you go.
Knows the story.
I will give you one
price.
American dollar. That's like 300 Canadian.
Very, very good price, but it's a top of the line computer, and I'm sure it'll give you a good discount. But I got to tell you something. I do enough shows, And I've been burned enough time because you got to remember, I load the audio and the video and everything and all the posters and stuff like that. And I've had updates at 10 minutes before the show and at a conniption. I go into my Windows updates, and I think I don't need another one till the end of April now. It's on my time, not theirs.
Yeah, the flip side of it is I'm using my daughter's computer tonight because my other daughter took my computer to do an assignment for college. So I texted her. I'm like, hey, do you have the computer? She's like, I'm on my way home from work. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. So I just grabbed my younger daughter's computer, and here I am,
All right. Jay Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. I've renamed him, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. 500 is what I called him. He was boasting and bragging that he was on such a roll, and then I think he's lost 6 in a row. Anyway, he's going to tell you what's up and what's in the. You decide if you wanna vote for him. You're not muted, by the way, Bacon. Are you muted? He is muted. Okay, here we go.
Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Pucks and Pints Radio featuring the Jay Vegas Pick of the Week. If you've been following, the Jay Vegas Pick of the Week has not been going entirely well. We were 12-6 at one point. We were 12-6 before this little 2-week hiatus that we took. But then we went 0-6. We lost 6 in a row. So after dropping 6 in a row, that puts us at about 12-12. So we're actually down a little bit of money. That would put you down, if my math is right, about 0.81 units. If you've been betting $100 on every one of my picks, you're down about $81 now. After we were up quite a bit. 12-6 was a good record, but we went 0-6. We took a 2-week break. Sometimes in gambling, guys, that's just what you do. When you're going cold, you lose 6 in a row, you just take a break. You don't quit gambling entirely. That would be just crazy. We just take a little bit of a break. We took a 2-week break to take stock of things, and we're coming back tonight. We're going to change things around, okay? Listen, we're going to change this bad streak that we're on, this 0-6 streak, and we're going to win tonight. I've mentioned earlier, I think about 2 months ago, we explored the Grand Salami, which is taking the total of all goals scored in a night and picking whether it's going to be over or under. Tonight, what they've done is they've set a total of 32.5 goals. We're going to take that under. That seems a little high. So the Jay Vegas Pick of the Week this week is going to be all games combined tonight to have less than 32.5 total goals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jay, you're 0-6. You've taken a break. Now you're coming back, and we're supposed to take a break. Yes. Take my word for this. This is when things are going to get a lot better. So, guys, 32.5 goals. We're taking it under tonight. You've got an early episode of Pucks and Pints tonight, so you should be able to get this bet in with plenty of time, okay? If you can't, I would take the remainder of the games tonight to all basically stay under. But if you can get the Grand Salami in, take it at 32.5. I want to talk a little bit about teams to win the Stanley Cup. My dark horses right now, I really like the Carolina Hurricanes, the way they're playing. I think they've got a really good chance. You're not getting any value, as we've talked about before. There's no value in the Boston Bruins, who, by the way, are on pace to break the record for the all-time NHL wins record, but they're only paying about 3.5 or 4-1 at most books. There's just no value in that. I mean, come on. We all know that every year in the playoffs, the number 8 seeds barely go, if they even go, 500. There's going to be value to be found in teams that the Leafs there's no value in the Leafs. You're not going to find any value in the Leafs right now, like I said, especially the Boston Bruins. I'm liking the Carolina Hurricanes, and I think you have a very slight outside chance at the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are paying upwards of 20-1 at some books. Carolina Hurricanes, the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think you're going to find some value there. Very little value in the Sabres, who we took at the beginning of the year, even before the season started. Just didn't pan out the way we thought. I don't think the Ottawa Senators, even though there's value in that bet, even though you're getting high odds in that, there's no value because they're not going to make the playoffs. Senators are really taking a crap lately, and this is how they typically end most of their seasons. I'm going to focus on the Penguins. I'm going to focus on the Hurricanes. Our Vegas Knights that's average value, I would say. But to win the Cup, I don't know if they can finish this year. The only other team I'd kind of be looking at might be the Washington Capitals, but again, not as strong a bet as the Carolina Hurricanes and the Pittsburgh Penguins. But your strongest bet tonight is going to be that Grand Salami. Total goals under 32.5. Good luck with your picks, guys. We're turning this around. We're not going 0 for 7 tonight. Sending it back to you, boys. Good luck.
I'm really sorry, Jay, but I was waiting for you to pick the Canadians 4 or 5.
He did just about as bad. He picked the Hurricanes.
Well, we both desecrated that. Well, 3 of us said the Hurricanes are not that good. The Penguins, Big B has a little faith in them, but
not to win the Cup.
That's why he's Mr. 500.
You're about to go Mr. Subpar 500, Jay. I hate to say it. We love you. Your humor and I think you should go over to Europe and start picking some games again.
Yeah, go back
He was
to the
undefeated.
Chinese League, the Chinese Women's League, or whatever it was you were betting on before.
He was undefeated picking those games.
Jeez. All right, let's go to whatever's on your mind now, guys. We kind of keep it pretty narrow and whatnot for most of the show. So let's do some news and water cooler talk. Whatever's on your mind.
And now, NHLShop.com presents breaking news and water cooler talk.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anybody want to? My screen
But
is there.
you're breaking up, at least on my side.
No, I know. When I click some, am I back?
Oh, there you are.
Okay, sorry, I froze again. I'm be live. I'm thinking of switching providers. There's one that's free.
So I was, we're talking about the teams that are making the playoffs. I was thinking about the other day, the teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, and what coaches do we think are currently would be on the hot seat and are candidates to be fired at the end of the season? I was thinking of 2 immediately because things have gone so bad, so much in the opposite direction than they thought of. And that would be 1, John Tortorella in Philadelphia. And it's just chaos, pure chaos over there.
I don't think that's his fault, though.
It's some of it is his fault. I mean, usually with Tortorella wears out his welcome really, really quick with a franchise. But in that interim, when he's there, he has a good effect on turning teams around. This year, it's been chaos in Philadelphia. And, he's banning the tablets so they can't talk about things on the bench and doing all this and that. And I think he may be a one and done. Especially now Daniel Briere is apparently the interim GM and may want to get rid of him. And the other one is from the coach of the year last year, Darryl Sutter. If Calgary doesn't make the playoffs,
yeah, he's definitely.
And again, there was chaos involved with that team this year with what was it? Huberdeau's agent tweeting out things. There's chaos on both teams. And I think those 2 are prime candidates to be let go this offseason.
No, I'm not so sure, although Tortorella always gets fired. So you might have a safe bet there, Bacon. But I think for sure Sutter.
Yeah, I think Sutter gets fired regardless of what happens. Win or lose, I think he's done.
Really?
Yep. I really do. I think he's outlasted his welcome, and he's kind of, his comments and the way he's managed the dressing room. I think they're putting up with it until the season ends, and then they're just going to part ways, I think.
Even if they make a run and make the playoffs, you think he's done?
Yeah. I mean, unless they end up winning the cup, which we all know is not going to happen.
Right, of course.
I think he's done. First round exit, second round exit. I think he's still.
Yeah.
I have an odd.
I don't think it's up to him. If they get that far in the playoffs, it's not him.
Yeah.
It's the players wanting it bad enough. It's just he's just a face on the bench at this point.
Yeah, I think, again, we talk about styles, we talk about the evolution of the game, yada, yada, yada. I have an odd question before you go to yours, Bacon, because I got to think about mine. I got to process this a little bit. I know Big B mentioned it to me earlier, but I let it go. Do you think Armstrong's had it with Berube in St. Louis? He can't control Bennington. He's not really gone into a full rebuild. I like Berube. I love him as a coach. I think he'll be employed the next day. But
I don't know that anybody can control Bennington. He's I don't understand this guy, man. Like he was a great goaltender at one point, and now he's just nuts. He's still a decent goaltender, but you look at him the wrong way, he's going to fight you.
But are Berube's days numbered, or?
I don't know. They've had a mediocre season. It hasn't been a complete disaster, but it hasn't been anything to write home about. I think if they could find somebody better, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know who else would be available to step into that role that would do any better than he's doing right now.
Yeah.
So who do you got?
For what? For a coach?
Coaches that are on the line, and I'm wondering about GMs.
I was going to go with Sutter.
Yeah,
that was the first.
We're all in agreement.
That's the first one that came to mind for sure was Sutter.
Tortorella,
yeah, I don't think I can see Tortorella as a 1 and out. Maybe a 2 and out. I mean, unless something goes crazy. He hasn't. I mean, he's Tortorella, right? He does his thing. You kind of expect it to be what it is. He berates players, he treats them like crap, and then he puts them back in the lineup and they perform. And he's just a brash, harsh coach. That's just the way he does it. Like it, people know it. He doesn't, and that's the thing. He's not. Compare Tortorella and Sutter. Sutter's a harsh coach, but he does it behind your back. He doesn't come out and just say it. He just kind of alludes around it and says these little snippets here and there to the media and lets it fester. Tortorella just come out and say, "You suck."
Yeah.
And then,
which he has.
That motivates the players to get things going, right? Like,
so who else? You got anybody else? I mean, now my mind's working.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see anybody else that jumps out at me. I mean, you look at you can't think of a team like Seattle. First year in the league to make it as far as they have. I'm great, good for you. Or well, I guess second year in the league, but
what about and here's how bad it is. I don't even know who the coach at Edmonton is, but what about him?
Yeah, I don't like looking at him. I don't think he's a terrible coach. I just don't think he looks like a coach. He looks like a vacuum salesman. I look at him when he does his media things, and I'm just like, ugh. I get off the screen.
A lot of people might think Keefe. I like Sheldon Keefe.
People have been calling for Keefe for years.
Yeah, I
right?
Don't
but let's be honest. At the beginning of this season, he was legitimately in a place where he may have been unemployed.
Yeah.
And things have gone drastically the other way. So
they believed in him. They got him. Let's talk GMs for a minute, because I'm not concerned that Dubas is going to get fired because he doesn't have a contract. But I'm hearing there's up to 4 teams, including your Philadelphia's, some other teams around the league that are looking for his services. It would be a shame. To me, it ain't on the coach in Toronto, and it ain't on the GM, and it ain't on the president. They've got everything they need, and it's on the players. And at some point it's got to be on the players. If Toronto loses Dubas, I can't see anyone coming in who can stabilize that situation.
But I mean, Toronto went all in this up at the trade deadline. Dubas got everything, like you said, everything that Toronto needs.
Mhm.
How would they ever decide to fire him when he's done everything he can do? It's not like he sat around and twiddled his thumbs while everybody went elsewhere.
And not to mention, Big B, like I know, that was a little pricey. That was a little pricey. But we've spoken about this before. We've heard it on NHL Network. We've heard it on the television shows while we're watching the games. There is no draft pick that's guaranteed. Jesse Puljujarvi was a first-round draft pick. Riddick Bonk was a first-round draft pick. Sometimes they don't turn out. He didn't give up any of his high-end prospects. He's given the team exactly what they asked for.
Yes.
He's been accused of not liking toughness, and he's brought that in. I don't think the goaltending is that much worse than the top 3 or 4 tier goaltending teams.
Yeah, this is the first year that I can sit back and go, man, like he did what people asked him to do. And you can't look at him and go, well, you made stupid decisions, so you got to go. Like he brought in some big name firepower. And if it doesn't work out, at what point do you just put the onus, like you said, put the onus back on the players and say, guys, look, I realize there's this looming, curse that's on you guys to get out of the first round. But at some point, you got to be bigger than that and get over it and get out of the first round.
Look, here's the conundrum that I think that the Leafs are in. If they make, because their big thing is to win the first round, right? They haven't done it.
I think if they win,
first round, it's a win. That's it.
If they win the first round, Sheldon Keefe is a genius and he's the savior, blah, blah, blah. If they lose in the first round, not Sheldon Keefe, Dubas. If they lose in the first round, Dubas got everything they wanted and Sheldon Keefe couldn't push the team forward. That's what's going to happen. Not the players. It's going to be Sheldon Keefe's fault.
Or does a new general manager come in and a new president of hockey operations and whatever they want to do to shake the whole foundation and bring us right back to square one? And do we trade Austin Matthews away at this point for Connor Bedard if he's the lottery pick? Whatever. Do we do a 3-way deal with another team? Do we break up the core? That's what everyone's calling for. I think that one win, knowing what looms on the horizon, knowing the Rangers are that good and the Hurricanes and the Devils and the Bruins, get by Tampa and everyone's job secure. Austin Matthews signs another bridge deal and we're off and we're running.
Yeah, I would think unless you get visibly beat up on, if it goes 6, even 7, I think he's still safe.
You got to beat Tampa.
I think he's still safe. Even if you lose at 7 games, he's still safe.
No,
you get beaten 4, you get beaten 5.
You lost by 1 goal. Tampa is weaker and we are stronger.
Well, I mean that's a fact. And with the injuries that Tampa has been battling and the severity of those injuries, there should be no reason that we can't.
There's no Andre Palat.
We can't beat up on him a little bit.
Hedman's not the man he was.
No, and Stamkos has been injury prone most of the season this year. So
you've got everything you've asked for, and I don't want to make this a Leaf thing, but like Florida, are you going to stand by Paul Maurice? And I don't know who their GM is either. Forgive me, but something's wrong. You were a Stanley Cup contender, and now you're barely a wild card, if you even make that.
When you made terrible trades.
2 of your keystone players away for a very popular move for Tkachuk, who's having a decent year, but you gave away heart and soul of your team, and you're still paying all this money for this goalie. The other guy's in a clinic somewhere. You're in trouble. Who pays the price in Florida? Someone has to.
Yeah, you took away those pieces, and now you got to pay the price.
But they are not going to fire Paul Maurice because what they did was they let go the coach that took them to the President's Trophy last year. They decided, well, you're not good enough. We're going to bring in Paul Maurice. If they fire Paul Maurice, that's them admitting that they fucked up, they screwed up, and they're not going to do that. So they are not going to fire. Paul Maurice is there. He's not going anywhere.
Okay, I'll go next. Ron Hextall, because we're going on the clock and we got to get Jolitz in. A lot of people are saying Hextall is totally just badgered this team, be it with extensions, because you're living in a Legends world. I know Big B, you said earlier, Crosby, Melk, and Letang, they all elevate at the right time. Did he do enough? This is it, man. You missed the playoffs this year. I don't see Pittsburgh again.
Yeah, it'd be tough to justify them coming back in. You may even see, I'm sure Crosby wants to finish out, whatever his career is, probably with Pittsburgh. But you'll see guys like Letang, some of those other younger guys that play on those lines. They'll be moving around. You don't go this year. It might be tough to see another one.
So you put Chevrolet, or you put Sutter on the pony. What about their GM? How about Chevrolet in Winnipeg? You can't win, buddy. You got a great coach there now.
Yeah,
they're in a playoff spot.
Tim Chevrolet off, right?
They're in a playoff spot. That team was a mess last year. They've turned it around and they're in a playoff spot. I think.
Did they name a captain yet this year?
No. They took the captaincy away from Line.
Yeah, they took it
Not
away.
Line.
Blake Wheeler.
Wheeler. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Guys.
One last thing I just read an article while we were listening to Jay Vegas that impacts Washington pretty heavily. John Carlson, despite having his ear injury that they thought, he actually has a fractured skull.
Yeah.
So he may be, I don't really see him playing a whole lot more this year. If he does, it's going to be against strong medical advice.
If forever. I heard Ryan Ellis may be done, have to retire too. I know it's a name we haven't heard in a while. Anyway, guys, before we come back to our closing thoughts, we've had extended time and whatnot, but Mike Jolitz puts a lot of time into his work. You do not need to mute for this. It's only audio. Ladies and gentlemen, another popular part of our show and a big friend and supporter of the show, Mike Jolitz with the Sports Minute.
Now it's time for Sports Minute with Mike Jolitz.
Hello, Pucks and Pints. How are you guys doing today? Hello to you, DK, and hello to Sir Big B. Oops, I almost forgot. Hello to Bacon as well. Alrighty, guys, today is March the 20th, and I am back to give you guys the Sports Minute. Let's go do it. So, hello. Last Saturday, I got to drive a white Lamborghini Huracan around the Wild Horse Pass racetrack. I did 4 laps. It was a blast. I only got to around 80 or so on the straightaway. Yeah, I could have gone faster. I have gone faster in my Hyundai, though. It was a great experience, though, but it is nerve-wracking, to say the least. So anyway, the United States beat Venezuela 9-7 in the World Baseball Classic game Saturday, and then slapped Cuba around in the semifinals on Sunday. They won 14-2. They head to the championship game to play Mexico or Japan on Tuesday. The NCAA March Madness tournament is still going on. Lots of brackets were busted by upset after upset. I almost did one, but then thought better on it. Joey Logano edged past Brad Kesseldick to win the NASCAR race in Atlanta yesterday. Kesseldick hasn't won in over 65 races now. Chevy has been in the winner's circle every race this year so far. Yeah. In NFL news, the Dallas Cowgirls released Ezekiel Elliott this past weekend, and Aaron Rodgers is still with the Packers. Your Milwaukee Bucks have clinched a playoff berth in the NBA postseason. Sweet. the Lakers and the Crybaby are out. Ha ha. That's fun to say. And finally, in the Sports Minute, the Wisconsin Lady Badgers defeated Ohio State on Sunday and are your NCAA hockey national champions. Oops, I mean 7-time national champions. Bam. Yeah, that's nice. Alrighty, guys. That does it for this Sports Minute. I'll be back next week. Tschüss, ciao, and auf Wiedersehen, everybody. Later, bye-bye.
Mike Jolitz with the other side of sports. We're almost out of time, guys. I want someone to write this down because I was thinking about this and also listening to a show on the way home tonight. A lot, and we're not a baseball show, but the World Championships of baseball are going on, and there has been a lot of season-ending injuries. And I'd like to talk about the World Cup of hockey and also the Olympics and get your thoughts on that. Injuries in general kill you. How important are these tournaments? Thoughts for a future show, guys? Anything else to wrap things up before we kick it out of here for another week?
Big fantasy playoff matchup between Coach K and Bacon.
Right.
Yeah, I'm confident in my lineup. I'm going to be terrible right now. I'm so glad MP Isles and LA Kings did not advance. Congratulations to my son Jake, who made a strong finish, and he's in there. I don't know who he's. But I beat him twice before, and if Jake doesn't beat him, I want that Habs guy because I can't stand him.
Hey, I am surprised in the last 2 weeks I've averaged 490 points a week.
Yeah, it's about to end.
So I'll tell you what, I lost the Habs all year, and this last week I murdered him. Like I mean, just
I beat him.
He's playing ringette and I'm playing hockey.
I beat him the week before. I think he's on like a 3-game slide.
Yeah.
By the way, I finished second and I have a bye this week.
Yes, you and Nads. Nads been the king. I also beat him once this year, though. So I'm excited, Bacon, to face off with you this week. We're only one of 2 matchups. Everyone else is sitting back and watching us. So let's put on a show.
Yeah, it'll be good. And you'll change your lineup every night.
I got nobody playing tonight, so take the points you can get.
Yeah, I don't think I have many going tonight. I might have 2 or 3, not a whole lot, that's for sure.
But let's have a gunfight. I'm not looking at moving a lot of people or anything like that. I like where I sit right now. I made the moves I had to make. I've been moving D throughout the year. It doesn't really seem to matter.
I got 3 going and my car is out.
Yeah. So, yeah, and you keep an empty spot. That's very weird. But anyway.
I don't try to. I noticed that, how it shows as an empty thing, but when I try to add somebody, it says I'm full. So I don't know if it's just the way I've picked my players. I don't know.
Oh. Anyway, folks, the big match, we'll report on it next week of only one of us survive to, I guess, depending how we fall and how the other ones fall, against either Big B or the Big Nads. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Have a great night. Enjoy your hot dogs, Big B. I'm gonna have a ham and cheese wrap and some soup.
Later.
All right, guys.
See ya.
Thank you to all the listeners on our affiliate stations. To find out more, check out Pucks and Pints Radio on Facebook and Twitter.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and make sure you never miss another upload.
This is Pucks and Pints.